Hello, hello. Another episode of Billable Hour Burnout about to kick off. Happy episode 31, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. As always, I'm looking at two screens, but I'm going to focus mostly on this one, but sending love to my Instagram peeps who are here. All right, everybody, episode 31 here, and we are kicking off a three-part series on what I call and what you may have heard of. It's a new term rumbling in the ethers called organizational resilience. Now, I'm going to tell you all about organizational resilience, but what I'm going to tell you first is that this is the thing that you don't realize that you need. It's the thing that you realize you don't need. It's as if like it's the air you breathe. Organizational resilience is critical. And so some of you, I know there are some of you who listen to this and are very much focused on yourself, and that's amazing. And then there are some who listen to this and they're like, I need the tools and tips and tricks to really support my people. So I'm here to support all of it. Welcome to Billable Hour Burnout. If you need some helpful tactical advice that actually helps you have the career of your dreams without the stress or the overwhelm, you are in the right place. If you want to finally enjoy the life that you spent decades building, you are in the right place. If you are here, it means you're ready to experience more work-life balance, more ease, and more confidence. And you're ready to make it happen without having to burn down your job or your life. My name is Lauren Baptiste, your Big Four auditor and consultant turned life coach and well-being consultant, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about today. And you are listening to Billable Hour Burnout. On the show, I share simple tactics and mindset strategies specifically catered to women in accounting, consulting, and law. You ready? Episode 31. I love it. We are just clicking up and up and up and up. So a little personal anecdote of mine is when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. I had this really full schedule today and all my afternoon meetings canceled. So after this live, I'm escaping. I'm going on an adventure because this is the last week of beautiful weather in the East Coast. And I have a feeling it's just going to get cold from here. So I saw my calendar clear out and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to spend the afternoon and go somewhere. So I'm not sure if I'm biking or hiking, but I know I'm going to be outside today. So if you ever have a day like that, I used to be in the place where I would be really annoyed at the cancellations, and now I trust that they're for me. It's a whole different energy of like, oh my gosh, this person canceled for the third time, or this feeling. And I feel so good. Like when it happens, I'm like, okay, now I can focus on this instead. Okay, that didn't happen. Now I get to prioritize something else. I just take it as a sign from the universe that's like, hey, you get to change your priorities. So here, I'm going to help you. So thank you, universe, for giving me the opportunity to enjoy a beautiful afternoon this week. And I'm going to take full advantage for everybody. And I'll even share my stories on Instagram. So that's my personal anecdote. I don't know what else has been going on, but there's just been a lot of travel, a lot of conferences, a lot of California, a lot. And I'm happy to be back. So let's get into today's story. Let's get into today's content. Now, I don't necessarily, I didn't pull a testimonial for today, but I am celebrating. I got my first girl moment. It was actually really sweet. It was a professional. She works in HR at a big bank you know very well. And she supports 1,300 attorneys in her firm and was like, I have been listening to you. I follow all your things. I really appreciate you even taking this moment. And I was like, oh, this is so sweet. Like I loved that she had been listening. I love that she knew had followed up on all my work. And I'm like, wow, there's so many of you out there. And when she said all this, I'm like, we haven't even connected. And that's how this work is impacting her. And I'm just grateful. So if this work is impacting you and it helps you personally or helps you professionally or helps your company, like I'm so happy. That's why I do this. So if that's you out there and you're listening, let me know. Let me know if you're like, I listen to this a lot and it really impacts me. I love to know because I do this for you. This isn't for me. This is for you. So I just wanted to share that. I really appreciate, everyone who's listening. I appreciate those that resonate with the message. I appreciate those that are, just here for it. So let's be here for it. And I think she was a perfect segue because in in my conference stint, which is usually the fall, there's just a lot of corporate conversations happening. So you may notice my dialogue goes a little bit from individual to more company. So all good either way because everything's in phases. And if it doesn't land for you. Maybe you're like, oh, I love this stuff, but like, how do I bring it more into my company? Well, I'm going to tell you that right now. So we're going to go through a three-part weekly series between now and I think it's November 6th of organizational resilience. Now, some of you are like, all right, what is organizational resilience? So let's start right there. Well, if we think about resilience itself, it's the ability to bounce back from hardship, right? Think of like a rubber band or a hair tie as being very resilient. It stretches and then it recoils back. And this is what we need from our organizations. Life's hardships arise, hard financial situations, but we need to be able to bounce back. So this is how we think about it now in this term of organizational resilience is your company's way to be intentional about the actions to handle your daily operations. So if you want to thrive in today's world, you need to be resilient. That's really the point here. But here's my take on it. If you want to be a resilient organization, or a leader who follows organizational resilience, then you need to be intentional about it. It doesn't just happen. It's just not happenstance that you have a company that is resilient. You have to foster it. And as the leader, it's such an amazing opportunity to conduct inclusive planning, manage your vulnerabilities, be open in your communication, demonstrate agility, adaptability, vulnerability, right? All of these things we need to be so mindful of, not just when things are easy, but in hardships. That's when leadership truly feels like leadership, like I'm being guided, led, not just like dragged along, which I'm sure some of us know that feeling. And so a lot of us will think of examples of organizational resilience like the Googles, the Patagonias, the Apples, the Starbucks, but it's different in our profession, in accounting and law and consulting. We don't have to be like them to be organizational resilient. And that's why I want to talk to you about it. So the way to think about this as we go into this three-part series is, what can I do to help my organization recoil faster? Now, the Lauren Baptiste version of this is make sure your people are well. Start by being well for you. You need to be well, right? So the work I talk about, helping you get your next promotion, hit your next salary bump, get your next job. This is all about doing it in a way that supports you. When we talk about this from an organizational perspective, I want you to think about doing all these types of things for you, but that it has a ripple effect on your people. It has a ripple effect. And yes, there's so many degrees. They talk about the study of 3 degrees of happiness. And yeah, so I'll just take a moment and even explain that because maybe you haven't heard it in a while. It's a study, maybe five plus years old. And they talk about this idea of if I'm happy, then my happiness can ripple into 3 degrees. So that 3 degrees could be my sister's hairdresser's cousin. Isn't that wild? My sister's hairdresser's cousin can be happy just because I'm happy because of the ripple effect. So, as we think about this for our companies, we want to think about the ripple effect of the happiness. And I say happiness intentionally because actually, according to SHRM, we are at a 4-year low in terms of our happiness. Employee happiness is as low as it's been in 4 years. And if we want to think about flipping that switch, we need to take care of ourselves. Okay, but I'm talking about the leaders today. I'm talking to the leaders in the room today. How do we do this? Well, it's going to be different than it has been because what had been experienced over the past few years in COVID is that a lot of one-off things were helpful, but they didn't really stick, right? We've also seen in that same period of COVID, the Great Resignation. Of course, there's a lot of other things going on of why people leave and why people stay, but I remember receiving when I was working, I received like measuring cups and salt and a few other things in this like kit from my company. And I was like, all right, that's not it. Like there's things that are it, but like helping me cook is like not it. And it's a sweet gesture because that was really the only thing I could do at the time. But that's not it. That's not keeping me sane, stable, secure, grounded. Like that's not helping me be a better leader. And I want to say this, I'm saying this loud and proud because I want you to know that a monthly gym stipend isn't going to work. Free lunches on Fridays isn't enough. 40%, right? Specifically 39% of the global population is burned out. So we need better than the quick fix. The quick fix isn't going to work anymore. So what I call this, what I refer to this as is transactional solutions. Transactional solutions are the bowling night, the goodie box, the lunches on Fridays, right? Those things, while they're expensive and while we spend a lot of time thinking about them and trying to put them into place for our people, it's not really working. It's not working. And so it's not enough right now. People are the most stressed they've ever been. They're most overwhelmed they've ever been. They're dealing with the most challenges personally and professionally, and they're having to keep their cool and be productive at the same time. So how do we do that, right? If we want to do that for our people, here's what I'm going to tell you. We have to invite transformational solutions. Transactional solutions aren't going to work. Transactional solutions, right, are those one-offs that I'm talking about. Transformational solutions, however, are the solutions that are going to actually have effect, that are going to transform. They are the consistent, thoughtful things that we do to transform our people, not just give them a quick fix. And here's the thing that I noticed after doing this work for a while and after consulting inside of other companies is that employees notice. They're feeling these half-hearted attempts and they're just like, nah, this isn't working. They don't want to talk to their HR team and have a coffee chat. They don't want to do chair yoga. They just want to be able to not cry in the shower anymore. They want to be able to have enough time to wash their hair. They're going to have the ability to eat dinner with their family. That's what our people really want. So this whole episode today is talking about the problem, right? So the problem being these transformational solutions that we keep applying that aren't working, and the solution, transformational solution, right? The ongoing, the intentional, the concerted effort of creating an environment for which our people can thrive and be more resilient. So this is where we're going. This is where we're going. Now, if you're with me and you're like, I love this, I am on board, I believe this, what do I do? I'm going to give you a few things to think about as you take this journey with me over the next 3 weeks. So, the first thing I want you to do, if you have nothing, you want to assemble a committee. If you're in a big company, or even if you're in a small company, you can't do this on your own. You can't be the one person that's excited to do this from the side of your desk. You need to recruit a group that's equally passionate, equally excited, and equally able to help drive. Now, I bet if you're listening to this, you're already busy enough. This is a temporary thing. It's a temporary community to get a committee to get things up and running. But once you do, then you can back off. And so it doesn't have to be a heavy lift. So that's the first thing. We need to identify a community so we can have some of these conversations. And again, it's not a full-time thing, it's a part-time thing, but we need to start somewhere. Once we do that, we're in our committee, then we need to identify a budget. Now, it's already 2024, and likely if you haven't had a budget for organizational resilience, you likely don't have one. Now, next week, I'm going to talk to you about what the budget could look like, how to think about it, and a process to put through organizational resilience. But for now, I just want you to think about what could be a budget. Is it a couple $100? Okay. Is it a couple $1,000? Is it a couple $100,000? It depends on the size of the company. I will say little budgets aren't necessarily bad budgets. We need to focus on intentional budgets. That being said, a couple $100 might be really limiting on what you could do, but it's a starting point, right? So it might take longer to get to where you want to go. You have to be really honest with yourself about that. You might still lose some of your good talent in that, but you start somewhere. So identify a budget. The third thing, start asking questions and start taking notes. What has the company done up until now? What do employees want and need? How far is management willing to go to really solve this? Now, I as we come to the end of today, those can feel simple, those can feel like a lot, depending on where you're at and what your culture is like. Likely, this is going to be more adoptable and attractive in a culture that's already somewhat good. If you're in a toxic culture, this is going to feel challenging. I'm going to be really honest and say that it's going to be really challenging because if it's like you have to almost do the pre-work of convincing them why this work is valuable. And you can do that by sharing this. You can share the recent Thomson Reuters article that I wrote that's available. And you could just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Can we start to do this? But just know if your environment is very toxic, you likely need external support to help you get there. But if you're like, hey, there's already some momentum, my company is well-intentioned. Maybe you're the business owner, you're saying, I'm well-intentioned. Where do I begin? This is where you begin. Assemble a committee, identify a budget, ask honest questions, and take notes. Now, this is it. We talked about organizational resilience and what it is. We talked about why it's not working, which is the quick fixes. We talked about the solution of how it's going to work, and that's transformational solutions. That's all we need to do to be successful. That's the first step we need to take in order to build. Now, next week, I'm going to spend time talking to you about the process, a little bit of the math to start to make it work, and to help you really understand the importance of why this is so valuable. I said in the beginning of this session, organizational resilience is like the air you breathe. It's invisible, but it's critical. That is the way you need to be thinking about organizational resilience in your company. Even if you haven't taken it on yet, it's critical. They even have that Chinese proverb that said, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So if your company hasn't done anything yet, now is the second best time to get things started. All right, so that is wrapping up today. If you want, you can even message me for the Thomson Reuters article, which helps summarize everything, or you could just Google Thomson Reuters Lauren Baptiste organizational resilience, and I'm sure it will come up. But just send me a message if you want the link, and I'm happy to send it to you as well. All right, everybody, as we come to the end of today's episode, I wanted to invite you and remind you that something big, huge is happening on my newsletter in November. Now, I don't do this often. I don't often say you have to be here in order to get this, but this is what we're doing. In November, I have a special offer, an irresistible opportunity for you to break out of your burnout, for you to start to hit the promotion that you've been waiting for, to finally feel the success that you want to have. So in November, I'm giving only my newsletter community an opportunity to end the year strong. In order to do that, you have to be on my newsletter, and you can join for free. The email is akalowellness.com/newsletter. That's actually the link, not the email. The link is akalowellness.com/newsletter to jump on my newsletter. When you do, you're going to get a whole host of advice, tips, tricks, tools, mindset, setting you up for Q4, getting you ready for 2025 and beyond. So if you want to take advantage of this amazing offer, if you're someone who's listening, who's like, I've wanted to work with Lauren for a while and I haven't, if you're someone who's like, I wanted to work with her, but maybe I didn't have budget then, this is going to be something that everyone can take part in. So I'm very excited for this. This is going to be a big one. It is going to be a first come, first serve type of thing. So if you want to be part of this, you're going to want to know and be on my newsletter before November hits. All right, everybody, this is Billable Hour Burnout for today. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked it, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you hang. I love hearing how this is landing for you, and I continue to create content for you. So keep me posted on what you love, and I'm going to keep doing more of it. Thank you so much for listening. Visit www.akalowellness.com for more information about me, Lauren Baptiste, Akaloa Wellness, my one-on-one coaching program, Freedom, or my corporate work that I'm doing inside companies. This is something I don't talk about all the time on Billable Hour Burnout, but is absolutely something that I do. Companies bring me in to facilitate group programs, surveys, keynotes, trainings, workshops, all around this idea of breaking through burnout and feeling into productivity, breaking out of burnout and having a life that feels really good. This is my work. This is my mission. I'm doing it in all the ways for everyone so that the people like me who burnt out and ended up in a hospital don't have to experience that. All right, everybody, wishing you the best rest of your day. If your whole afternoon got canceled, maybe I'll see you on the trails. But for now, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.